Welcome to 2021, where we are going to start a new unit. But the good news is it's very much connected to 4A, which was about equations. And now we're going to take a step into inequalities. And we're going to talk about what that means. But basically, inequalities are these things. Remember these things? Okay. So, equations, which we learned right before the holiday, and now we're going to do that same process into inequalities. So, as we begin, I'm going to do page 1, which is a review, a little bit of a review to get your mind moving again in this new year. So, what do we do when we see parentheses with a number right next to it? For example, in example 1, we're going to do what's called distribute. If I'm going to distribute a plate of Christmas cookies, I'm going to give one out to everybody. Okay, sometimes I distribute gummies. I pass them out to everybody. Well, not always, because sometimes you earn it. But anyway, so whenever you see a number directly next to a parenthesis like this with nothing in between, there's not a plus sign, there's not a minus sign, there's nothing else, that means that we're going to multiply that outside number times the first number to get 3x. And then we're going to multiply 3 times positive 5, which is positive 15. And now this is a great reminder of what we were doing before break, because now you're going to solve this two-step equation. I'm going to put a box around my variable. I'm going to do the opposite of what's outside the box. Bring down what's in the box. And last step, divide. X equals 10. Over here, we're going to do our check, which means, and the check's going to look a little different because I have this number on the outside, then I have 10 plus 5 equals 45. Now you can type that directly into your calculator, 3 parentheses, 10 plus 5 parentheses. But remember that order of operations says we're going to do what's in parentheses first. So I'm going to add those two first to find that 3 times 15 is 45, and I'm correct. So I like those because you're using your order of operations because you know all the numbers. Remember, when you wrap the present, you know what's inside, so you know all the pieces. Over here, our X, we don't know. That's the person opening the present. They don't know what's inside, so they have to do PEMDAS in reverse, which some people had referred to as SADMAP, but I just do that. Okay, next problem. Again, we see a number directly next to a parenthesis with nothing in the middle, which means we are going to distribute using multiplication. 5 times n is 5n. And then here we have 5, but be careful, that's a negative 2. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. That's 5n minus 10. Remember, if we added our inverse, we would have plus a negative. So it's the same. I'm going to put my variable in a box, and I see that I have a negative 10 there. So I'm going to do positive 10 to both sides of the equal sign. Bring down 5n. Be real careful here. Mistakes kids made. They didn't use their calculator. This is a negative 30 and a positive 10. So that's different signs. Subtract. Again, feel free to use your calculator. Negative 10, negative 30 plus 10. Now my last step is divide by 5. Again, using your calculator to help you with those signs. Some of you might have seen I wrote that on your last quiz. N equals negative 4. To do our check, we have 5 parentheses, negative 4 minus 2 equals negative 30. I'm recommending right here to type into your calculator -4 minus 2, because that will give you -6. And that's where a lot of kids make mistakes. So make sure you utilize your calculator. Okay. And example 3 is the last one I'll do in this video. I'm going to distribute a -4. -4 times h is -4h. And then be extra careful here. That's a -4 times a -6. A negative times a negative is a positive 24. That is the most difficult kind of distribution problem we're going to have this year. Now that you've done the hard part, put your variable in a box. Do the opposite of what's outside the box. Again, really reinforcing to be super careful here and use your calculator, because those signs are different. So you're going to need to subtract. However, when you use your calculator, you don't type subtract. You're going to, some kids do a double negative here. They do subtract a -24. This is 18 minus 24. Type in exactly what you see. That's going to give you -6. And then we're going to divide both sides by -4, making sure that these numbers are all the same sign. Super important, and that's a mistake kids were making. And that gives us h equals a positive 4 goes into 6 once with 2/4 left over, which is actually 1.5. And of course, you can have 1.5. Let's try our check. -4 parentheses 1.5 minus 6 equals 18. I'm going to tell you, use your calculator, type in 1.5 minus 6, because this means this 6 is negative. So this is going to be a -4.5. A negative times a negative is a positive. You remember that from our triangle. And 4 times 4.5, I'll show you. I don't have the fraction one on here, but look at that. That is 18. So taking that extra time to actually type that into the calculator shows that you know how to do it. Your little Easter egg I'm hiding today is the most important thing I really want you to start doing is using your calculator to calculate. Brave Square messaged me that, or your teacher, Mrs. Renke.